I'm going to spar Ilia and Topuria like
this. Yeah. Ilia, Topuria, whatever. He's fucking tight.
He's dangerous.
He's tight. That shit's tight.
Everything is so sharp. His technique is flawless. Everything's flawless. His boxing is so dangerous. He's so dangerous everywhere. He's dangerous with submissions. He's dangerous with kicking. He's dangerous. His heart.
Ilia Topuria is locked in and preparing for absolute chaos. And the target? Justin Geeth, the human highlight reel himself. Here's what's absolutely wild about this whole situation. There was no official announcement, no press conference, no formal build-up. Just pure, unadulterated preparation for what's shaping up to be one of the most brutal wars we've ever seen on the biggest stage in combat sports. Analysts are already dissecting every angle of this potential matchup, and the clips spreading across social media are creating an absolute frenzy. This feels like fight history being written in real time, especially with whispers that the White House is committed to making this event happen. And let me tell you something, when the most exclusive venue in America gets involved in MMA, you know we're witnessing something unprecedented.
No other option.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Walking out of the Oval Office, into the cage, wearing the flag.
Entertaining.
I think we're going to main event it. I think we'll be the main event.
Boom.
Let's go. Once in a lifetime.
I'm totally guessing throwing shit against the wall right now.
Yeah. Universe.
But here's where things get really interesting. Joe Rogan dropped what he called a massive red flag moment about Topuria that nobody's talking about. Remember when Ilia jumped up to lightweight to face Josh Emmett? Most people forget this fight even happened, but Rogan sure doesn't. Topuria walked into that octagon against a bigger, stronger opponent and immediately found himself in serious danger. Emmett landed a perfectly timed, absolutely devastating head kick that would have sent most fighters to the shadow realm. We're talking about the kind of shot that ends careers, the kind of strike that separates champions from contenders. But instead of crumbling like 99% of fighters would, Topuria did something that made Rogan's jaw drop. He not only survived that bomb, he thrived. By the end of that round, Emmett was the one looking like he'd been through a meat grinder, while Topuria looked like he was just getting started. Rogan's assessment was crystal clear. This isn't just a dangerous fighter. This is an intelligent, disciplined predator with the kind of unshakable self-belief that most champions only develop after they've already proven themselves at the highest level.
McGregor's been tossed around.
Then McGregor's going to fight me and we'll be main event.
It's laughing now because they have a dirty boxing, really, you know. They just fighting hard, but there is no good technique. But Ilia will be left now because Ilia has such a high level boxing.
And get this, Rogan emphasized that it's not just raw skill that gives Topuria his edge, it's his impeccable timing. The man possesses this almost supernatural ability to know exactly when to unleash his devastating arsenal, and equally important, when to adapt his entire strategy mid-fight. That lightweight bout we just talked about perfectly demonstrates this. Think about it for a second, a perfectly executed switch kick connected flush to Topuria's face, the kind of shot that in any other context would have definitively ended the fight right then and there. Instead, Topuria processed it like it was just data to analyze rather than a fight-ending moment. He absorbed that absolute bomb, made immediate adjustments, and then completely turned the entire battle in his favor. That single moment conveyed more about Topuria's championship mentality than any highlight reel ever could. It showed a fighter who understands how to adapt, evolve, and overcome when facing absolute adversity. And here's the kicker. If he can do that against a bigger opponent at lightweight, imagine what he's capable of when he's the naturally bigger man at featherweight.
He fought this dude, Jai Herbert, and he went up to 155 for that fight. So he's a 45-pounder, and he said, fuck it, I'll take a fight at 55. He gets head kicked in the first round by... Jai Herbert is a nasty stand-up fighter. He's so good. He's real slick. He's real good stand-up, like real sharp stand-up. And he caught Topuria with the perfect head kick. And Topuria, he's in real trouble. He got dropped. And he scrambled, got a hold of him. Next round, sent him into the dark lands. blasted him against the, I mean, literally slept him, face planted him, and walk-off KO. He's an animal, dude. He's a real problem because he's intelligent, he's dedicated, he's driven, he's got that kind of confidence that those championship guys have, where they know they're the best even before they're the best.
Now here's where it gets absolutely wild. Justin Gaethje's recent comments have sent shockwaves through the entire MMA community, and he's not just speculating or waiting for official news to drop. He's talking like this fight is already a done deal, a sealed fate that's just waiting for the paperwork. Gaethje went so far as to state that the much-anticipated White House event has been in the works for months, treating his recent interim title victory like it was simply the cost of admission to this main event. His message to Topuria is direct and leaves absolutely no room for misinterpretation. If you're preparing for war, you better be ready because this isn't about negotiations anymore, it's about what happens next. When Gaethje says, "That's who I'm fighting," it's not just a casual remark. It's a visceral reaction loaded with competitive fire and genuine respect for the caliber of opponent Topuria represents. He's not just acknowledging a potential fight, he's confirming the mutual hunger for this high-stakes collision that both fighters seem to genuinely crave.
Just tactically, he's so smart. So it's not just his ability, his skill, it's knowing when to apply it and how to adjust to different kinds of fighters. But the Jai Herbert one might have been the most impressive one. Dude, see if we can find that. He got head kicked. He gets hits with a switch high kick off the left leg, right to the face, man. I mean, like this, he just dropped.
But wait, it gets even crazier. We're seeing some absolutely wild dynamics playing out behind the scenes. Gaethje is directly calling out Topuria, hyping up the White House event, and throwing out that June date like it's written in stone. Even with all the external pressure and politics, Gaethje isn't backing down one bit. He's actively hunting for this fight, sending a clear message that he's not intimidated by Topuria's recent dominance. But here's what's really chilling. Gaethje also dropped a warning about his finishing ability, referencing a moment where he told his opponent not to try certain tactics again after landing just 3 strikes that left his opponent unconscious on the canvas. The underlying message is stark and brutal. Gaethje might be incredibly prepared and undeniably strong, but Topuria is exactly the type of fighter who ruthlessly capitalizes on even the smallest mistakes. He transforms brief windows of opportunity into fight-ending moments, with a precision that very few others in the sport possess.
When they come to the center ring like Gaethje and Holloway, just throw level.
Just go.
Justin Gaethje is my friend. I'm gonna tell him don't do that with Ilia Topuria, man. You can't do that with him.
Yeah.
He hit so hard. When him and Charles Oliveira were fighting,
Yeah.
by the time Charles Oliveira hit the ground, he was already sleeping, man. So
Damn.
Ilia hit him 2 to 3 times on the way down.
Ooh.
So before he even hit the ground, Ilia hit him with the right hand. By the time Charles is knocked out and falling backwards, Ilia done hit him with an uppercut. He hit him with another right hand. And then some guys actually, you fall down, they do like that, the referee
Listen, it truly feels like we're witnessing the dawn of a new era. The old guard has faded, the previous champions have been dethroned, and the entire landscape of the featherweight division has shifted dramatically. But one thing is absolutely certain, Topuria now exists in a realm that very few fighters ever reach. Every step he takes from here on out, every single decision he makes will face the most intense scrutiny imaginable. The eyes of the entire mixed martial arts world are locked on him, analyzing his every move, because he's undeniably at the epicenter of this seismic change. And the pressure? It's unlike anything we've seen before. When you're operating at this level, there's no room for error, no second chances, and definitely no easy fights.
A bit of a question, and it's why I asked these guys, hey, is Ilia as good as everybody's saying? Is that what you're seeing? Do we have enough evidence? There hasn't been a time in the past where somebody beats Charles Oliveira. It didn't happen to Arman Sarukian, just for example. It didn't even happen to Islam, but it did happen to Ilia. And the 55-pound belt is a little bit tarnished right now. There is some real questions. When the number 1 guy, which is Arman, is not in the ring, it's a question. When the champion, who was Islam, leaves and Ilia is sitting out.
Now get this part. Paddy Gaethje's perspective adds a fascinating dimension to this unfolding Topuria versus Gaethje narrative that nobody saw coming. Having personally faced Gaethje in the octagon, Paddy intimately understands what peak Justin Gaethje looks like, the version of the highlight reel that can dismantle almost anyone on the planet. And he's boldly predicting that exact version could strip the undisputed championship directly from Topuria's hands. Pimblett isn't just offering casual support from the sidelines either. He's already openly considering a potential rematch with Gaethje down the line, reflecting on the crucial lessons learned from their encounter. His comments really emphasize the gravity of this situation. Topuria isn't facing just any opponent. He's confronting a battle-tested, incredibly evolved version of one of the most dangerous lightweights in history. Paddy stated it perfectly. "I feel that was classic Gaethje. I mentioned before the fight, I wanted peak Gaethje, and peak Gaethje showed up. So credit where it's due, I hope he takes the undisputed championship from Topuria."
His timing, his instincts, his instinct to fire off in like his counterattacks. You know, he'll make you pay for every step you take. It's a hard fight. Things have got to change in Gaethje's camp to make the fight competitive. Right now, the Gaethje that fought Paddy won't beat Ilia, right?
But here's where another major voice enters the conversation with a completely different perspective. Robert Whittaker isn't sugarcoating anything, taking a much more direct and almost brutal analytical stance. He views Topuria as operating on a level far above anyone Gaethje has faced recently. In Whittaker's experienced opinion, Ilia's striking alone is superior to everyone else in the division, and that's before you even consider his elite wrestling and jiu-jitsu skills. He believes that in a high-stakes encounter like this, every single vulnerability will be exposed and exploited. For Gaethje to even have a chance against Topuria, Whittaker claims his entire approach and training camp needs a fundamental overhaul. He's strongly implying that the version of Gaethje we saw against Pimblett simply isn't prepared to face a phenomenon like Topuria. And honestly, when someone with Gaethje experience and fight IQ makes statements like that, you have to pay attention.
He has to be up the top of my list almost at the very tippy top.
We didn't see enough.
Because of the work he did, though. Yeah, I understand that, but he dismantled great and then moved up the weight class and just...
Plus, it's great. I think you shouldn't dismiss...
Can't disregard the fact that he knocked out Volk and Max. And Volk's up the tippy top of my list because it's Volk, okay? He's defended it, he has ran that division since day dot.
Hold up, because Whittaker isn't just praising Topuria. He's positioning him among the sport's all-time elite from his deep, battle-tested perspective. In Whittaker's eyes, Ilia is already the second greatest featherweight in UFC history, and his reasoning is absolutely mind-blowing. For years, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway were the division's undisputed kings, dominating nearly every single contender in their path until they created their own legendary rivalry. Then Topuria appears on that exact stage and completely rewrites the narrative. He doesn't just beat both of them, he dismantles them with a combination of precision, devastating power, and impeccable timing that genuinely sets him apart from everyone else. For Whittaker, it's not just about accumulating victories, it's about how Topuria is fundamentally redefining what it means to dominate the featherweight division. The man is carving out his own unparalleled legacy in real time, and we're all witnesses to greatness.
Conor gonna come back? Is John gonna fight Pereira? What Dana is kind of, is not uncertain about. But I believe with performance like this man has delivered each and every time, I believe Justin and Ilia potentially becomes the headliner for that card.
You're 100% right. And you're 100% right, and it should be. It should be. It should be. If you want to talk about, being fair competitively, especially in the performance that he puts, why wouldn't you? Right. In the perfect picture, you would want Justin to fight.
And here's the kicker that'll blow your mind. Whittaker breaks down the numbers that prove just how special this really is. Volkanovski holds an insane record of 25 wins and just 3 losses at featherweight. That's absolutely legendary territory. But to see both Volkanovski and Max Holloway, fighters who barely lost to anyone except each other, get systematically broken down by Topuria, that's not just impressive, it's historically significant. The biggest names in the sport are taking notice too. Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo both see the potential for something truly historic with a White House main event between Topuria and Gaethje. From their perspective, an American fighter like Gaethje defeating Topuria on that stage would be more than just a victory. It would be a powerful statement about the shifting landscape of MMA. This isn't just about titles or rankings anymore. It's about creating a new narrative where legacy and spectacle collide on the world's biggest stage.
They went in there and took out Volk and took out Max, right? And this is a guy that could beat anybody in the world at any given moment. He just didn't stay there that long. But what happens if he does stay at 45 and he gets 1 or 2 more wins? You got to also say that this guy's actually the GOAT of GOATs, you know, because I feel like he took out Max still in his prime and Volk still in his prime, and Max had never been knocked out, and the way he took him out was cold, you know. Same thing with Volk. I think Volk is still in his prime. He's showing he just defended the title. He looked amazing. Obviously, you can't say he's not in his prime. So I think Ilia also has to be entered already in that conversation at 145 of GOATs. I know he didn't stay there that long, but you know, sometimes you're not there for a long time, just a good time. And my boy had fun at that weight, man, because he made some fucking...
Now listen to this part. Jorge Masvidal frames Topuria as something truly special, but his analysis goes deeper than just hype. He points out that Ilia has already invested significant time at 145 pounds, systematically conquering every top contender in his path. But Masvidal believes that if Topuria secures just 2 more dominant victories in the division, his legacy could become absolutely untouchable. From Masvidal's perspective, Masvidal has already accomplished what very few fighters in the sport's history can claim, beating both Max Geith and Alexander Masvidal in devastating fashion. This means Topuria isn't just climbing rankings, he's actively reshaping how dominance is defined within the featherweight class. Every fight he enters now carries the immense weight of that potential for unparalleled greatness, and the entire combat sports world watches with anticipation to see just how far he can push the boundaries.
He also didn't win because if he did, he was going to get torched by Ilia. And I think Gage just retires and rides off into the sunset because he don't want to see Ilia. I think both these guys are just like levels below Ilia, and that fight really showed it all. On the wrestling, on the striking, the defense, the offense. I think Ilia's on a whole other planet when it comes to these guys. And hopefully they give him just engages so you get another guy and do him like a lawn chair, and he's going to fold him.
But wait, there's more. Masvidal isn't holding back on his assessment of the gap between Topuria and everyone else. He points out that for fighters like Pimblett, facing Topuria would be absolutely brutal because, frankly, going against Ilia at this stage of his career would be career-threatening. From Masvidal's viewpoint, both Paddy and Justin are incredibly skilled fighters, but they're operating a significant level below Topuria in virtually every aspect of mixed martial arts. Whether you're analyzing wrestling, striking, defense, or offensive output, Topuria outshines them according to Masvidal's expert eye. He portrays Ilia as operating on a completely different plane within the sport, suggesting that a clash with Topuria would provide the perfect stage to display his superiority while dismantling his opponent like an unstoppable force of nature. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Despite all the incredible hype and Geith's deep belief in Masvidal's abilities, he brings a dose of reality to the conversation that's worth considering. Regarding this potential Topuria bout, he honestly admits he'd rather avoid it altogether if he were in either fighter's shoes. Using pure logic, Masvidal points out that Topuria is approaching 38 years old, and his performance in recent fights carries some concerning warning signs. Masvidal explicitly warns that a striking contest with Volkanovski could be extremely dangerous for Geith, primarily due to Ilia's devastating power and surgical precision. While he understands MMA's inherent unpredictability and acknowledges that anything can happen once that cage door closes, Topuria's finishing ability is undeniably terrifying. This isn't just any regular opponent for the aging Geith. It's an incredibly high-stakes encounter with massive potential for a brutal, career-altering outcome. So here's the million-dollar question that's driving the entire MMA world absolutely crazy right now. Is this fight really happening, or are we all getting caught up in carefully orchestrated social media hype? The training footage of Topuria looking like an absolute savage has been flooding our feeds. Geith's comments sound like a man who's already signed the contract, and the White House venue adds a level of prestige that's never been seen in combat sports. But until we get that official announcement, we're all just speculating about what could be the most significant featherweight title fight in recent memory. And honestly, the anticipation is killing everyone. Will it be Geith's relentless, violent assault finally meeting its match, or will Topuria's precise, fight-ending power prove once again that he's operating on a level above everyone else in the division? This potential clash represents everything we love about MMA, 2 elite fighters in their prime, willing to put everything on the line for legacy and glory. Drop your predictions in the comments below because I want to know who you think walks away as the undisputed champion. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake here, smash that like button, subscribe for more in-depth MMA analysis, and hit the notification bell because this story is just getting started. I'll see you in the next one. But here's something that absolutely nobody is talking about, and it's going to change how you view this entire situation. Behind all the social media chaos and speculation, there are legitimate industry insiders dropping breadcrumbs that suggest this White House event isn't just wishful thinking. It's actually moving forward at the highest levels of government. We're talking about meetings that involve more than just UFC executives and athletic commissions. Sources close to the situation are hinting that this event has backing from people who can make things happen that have never happened before in combat sports history. Think about the implications for just a second. We're not just talking about a regular pay-per-view that breaks viewership records. We're discussing an event that could literally redefine how the world perceives mixed martial arts as a legitimate sport worthy of the most prestigious venues on Earth. And get this, the financial numbers being thrown around behind closed doors are absolutely staggering. Industry veterans who have seen every major combat sports event of the last 2 decades are saying the revenue potential for a Topuria versus Geith White House main event could shatter every existing record. We're talking about global pay-per-view numbers that could eclipse anything we've witnessed, merchandise sales that would dwarf traditional championship fights, and international broadcasting deals that would establish new benchmarks for the entire industry. But here's the really wild part. Both fighters seem to understand the magnitude of this opportunity and are preparing accordingly. Their training camps aren't just focused on beating each other. They're preparing for a moment that could define their entire careers and cement their places in combat sports history forever. Now here's where things get really spicy, and this is information that's just starting to surface. Topuria's camp has been studying Geith's recent performances with an intensity that borders on obsession, and they've identified specific patterns that could be absolutely devastating for Justin. Remember how we talked about Ilia's supernatural timing and ability to capitalize on the smallest mistakes? Well, his team has apparently isolated 3 specific moments in Geith's last few fights where his defensive positioning creates windows of opportunity that a fighter like Topuria could exploit with brutal efficiency. We're talking about split-second vulnerabilities that most fighters wouldn't even notice, let alone capitalize on. But Topuria isn't most fighters, and his team's analytical approach to breaking down opponents is reaching levels of precision that are honestly terrifying. But wait, because Geith's preparation is equally intense and way more dangerous than people realize. His recent comments about finishing ability weren't just trash talk. They were calculated psychological warfare designed to get inside Topuria's head. Justin's team has been working on specific combinations that target the exact defensive habits that made Ilia so successful against Volkanovski and Holloway. They've identified moments where Topuria's aggressive forward pressure could actually work against him if Geith times his counters perfectly. This isn't just about 2 elite fighters throwing hands. This is about chess match preparation where one wrong move, one mistimed exchange, one moment of overconfidence could end everything in devastating fashion. The level of strategic depth both camps are bringing to this potential fight is unlike anything we've seen in recent memory. And here's something that'll absolutely blow your mind about the stakes involved. Multiple Hall of Fame fighters who rarely comment on active matchups are going on record saying this fight represents a genuine changing of the guard moment for the entire sport. They're not just talking about the featherweight division or even lightweight. They're discussing how the winner of this potential bout could emerge as the face of a new era in mixed martial arts. Think about the narrative possibilities. If Topuria wins, he solidifies himself as potentially the most dominant champion in UFC history, while proving that his reign is just getting started. If Geith pulls off the upset, he becomes the ultimate veteran warrior who refused to fade away, and instead claimed his first undisputed championship on the biggest stage imaginable. Either outcome creates a story that transcends sports and becomes part of popular culture history. But here's the part that's keeping me up at night, and it should be keeping you up too. Both of these fighters have shown they're willing to engage in absolute wars, and neither has ever backed down from a challenge. Topuria's knockout power combined with his wrestling pedigree creates problems that Geith has never faced before. Meanwhile, Geeth's relentless pace and devastating leg kicks present challenges that could neutralize Topuria's forward pressure and timing-based attack. The stylistic matchup is so perfectly balanced that it's almost scary to think about what could happen when they actually collide. We could be looking at an instant classic that gets talked about for decades, or we could witness one of the most brutal, decisive finishes in championship fight history. The uncertainty is what makes this potential matchup so absolutely captivating and terrifying at the same time.